But as I was saying, Job wasn't like, restore back what I lost. He said, okay. You took it. Naked I came, and naked I shall return. He didn't go, hey people, all my stuff gone. Give me my stuff back. Please help me get my stuff back. No. And all this, Job said not charge God foolishly. He took it. He accepted it. He didn't beg. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves for the Lord, and Satan also came to them to present himself for the Lord. And the Lord said to Satan, from whence comest thou? And you got to think about it. Job wasn't even like in super mourning for his kids when he heard all the news. He was like, oh. That seemed cold-hearted, don't it? And if you read the whole text, he wasn't like, he was like, he didn't even start blaming nobody else. He just, why was I born? Oh, Lord have mercy. He was just in mourning and woe. And the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in earth, and from waking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. And still he holdeth fast his integrity. Integrity will take you a long way. People love to beg every time they go through something. Although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. And Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin. Yea, all the man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee into thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thy hand, but save his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with his sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. You got to think about it from Job's perspective. He just probably think he's getting sick. And he took him a potsherd and scraped himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him, take Job's wife, a virtuous woman, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. Nope. Then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. The wife said the thing exactly. Good Lord. Exactly the thing that, look at it, like Satan was like, you? How about you curse God and die? As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I love my wife, but it's up to her to work out on salvation with fear and trembling too. All I can do is teach her the way. I'm sure she's been watching me run this house and pray and do all this stuff, and she know my obedience to God, and here she is telling me to curse God. I love you, baby, but you tripping. Curse God and die. But he said to her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. Look at how he rebuked his wife. Love your wife like Christ loved the church. He be like, okay, baby. He said, thou speakest as a foolish woman. He rebuked her. What, shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? And all this, not Job sinned not with his lips, but his wife did sin. By your words will you just be justified, and by your words will you be condemned. Can I tell you a story? My ex-wife, who's a pagan one, was like, I'm gonna tell you exactly what she said, and y'all can get mad at me for saying it all. I gotta say, if I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna say it in full context so you get the full context of what I said. Fuck you and your God. She said that to me. I was like, sound like a foolish woman. I ain't with her no more. Now, with Job's 3 friends, you know, the Bible never said Job's 3 friends were righteous or perfect. And Job's 3 friends seem to be some spiritual advisors. Beware of false prophets. They come to you in sheep clothing, but inwardly they're ravening wolves. And all this, the evil was come upon him. They came everyone from his own place, Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Namathite, and for that had been made an appointment together to come mourn with him and to comfort him. In reality, Job didn't even need their comfort. A lot of people don't realize that part too. Because Job was a man of God. He was okay. Because they didn't do too much help. Ain't nothing they could have did to help Job. Job was already on the right course. Chosen by the Lord. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept, and they rent everyone his clothes. They put on a good show and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great. They did a great show. They put on a great show. After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed his day. He didn't curse God. And Job spake and said, let the day perish wherein I was born. He's grieving. A lot of times when you're going through a lot of things, you're going to be like that, like, Lord, oh, Lord. If you can't relate to Job's story, you might not be a human being. I was born in the night in which it was said there is a man-child conceived. Let that day be darkness. Let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. I'm not going to read all of it. Read it for yourself. Basically, Job's longing for death. He's like, man, let's take me, Lord. Take me, Lord. Take me, Lord. Please, just take me. I'm good. Chapter 4. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, if we say to a commune with thee, would thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. The words of upholding him that was falling, and thou hast strengthened him with the feeble knees. But now it's come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Oh, golly. Y'all know me. You weak son of a gun. That's basically what they tell them. And they just slaughter Job. Chapter after chapter after chapter. But you got to understand, he didn't say his friends were righteous. If you read the context all the way through, his friends seems like they were working for Satan too. The accuser of the brethren. Let's fast forward. I done did this a few times. The accuser of the brethren. You see, think about this. They weren't in the house of the Lord. They weren't false prophesying and false teaching. Some people are false prophesying, false teaching is leading their whole house to hell. Saying things they ought not. Talking down on the righteous. All that type of stuff. Chapter 42, I'm skipping. Read the rest, please. But I will say this. There's a fourth character, a character that shows up out of nowhere. A young man. Let me go back to it. Like, people are like, where did this dude come from? Where is it? I think his name Elihu. Because let me go back. Make sure I get these names right. What was the name of his three friends? Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. Out of nowhere, a dude named Elihu came out of nowhere. Just remember that fork. He just came out of nowhere. And he started saying some good stuff. He started saying some great stuff. I just want to throw that out there. Where he come from? Young man like, And after Elihu started talking, but you got to think when Elihu starts talking, then after all of a sudden God started talking. Who is this man? Who is Elihu? 42. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withheld from thee. Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uttered that I understood not. He repented, but it's like, He repented. Not things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. Because when he questioned God, God was like, man, what you know about Leviathan? You know about Behemoth? You know about all that stuff right there. Job, I ain't gonna answer you. I like you, man. I like you, but I ain't gotta answer you. You my dog. You my dog, Job. But I'm gonna tell you some stuff that you don't know. But I don't think it's a problem for men of God when they're going through things to question God. I don't know why. If you got a personal relationship with God, why can't you question him? Like, why can't you ask some questions? Lord Jesus, why am I going through this? I ain't saying he's gonna answer you, but you got a personal relationship with him. You think God don't appreciate that? There you go. He gets not like that. I ain't gonna tell him nothing though. You tell him nothing. I got a plan. I know the plan I got for you, Job. If you only knew what I had for you, Job. I ain't gonna tell you nothing. I know you're gonna stand your ground, buddy. But I got a plan for you, Job. Here I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. You see, a righteous man doesn't, a perfect man that doesn't miss anything, don't make mistakes. Really, like, reveal yourself to me, Lord. Then out of the world went, I've heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye seeth thee. Yes, Lord. Wherefore I bore myself and repent in dust and ashes. Does that make him evil? He said, when I sin, God is faithful to forgive my sins. And if I do sin, I have an advocate, Jesus Christ. Who is talking about Job? Jesus. Take my servant Job, the Lord. And it was so that after the Lord had spoken these words to Job, now think about this person, Elihu. I did a video about that a while ago, but you don't even hear his name mentioned no more. And it was so that after the Lord had spoken the words unto Job, the Lord said unto Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee and against thy two friends. He said his wrath is kindled against who? People of unrighteousness, these false teachers, these false people, these accusers. He said his wrath was kindled. He didn't say his wrath was kindled against Job. His wrath ain't gonna be kindled against his own people. And it was so that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee and against thy two friends. For you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job have. Look at those false, like 3 false teachers, 3 against 1. They just slaughtered her. Well, they knew the Lord. I know the Lord. No, you don't. What are you talking about? The prayer of a righteous man availeth much. Therefore, take it to you now 7 bullocks, and 7. I will make your enemies your footstools. Therefore, take it to you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering. And my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept. He was already accepted. Lest I deal with you after your folly, that you have not spoken to me the thing which is right, like my servant Job has. Like my servant Job, the one I chose. I don't know who y'all work for. Y'all sure ain't working for me. Men will come to me that faithful day. Lord, Lord, haven't I talked trash about Job in your name? Haven't I talked trash about Houston McCullum in your name? Haven't I talked trash about you in your name? So Eliphaz the Temanite and Bildad the Shuhite and so forth and everything went and did according as the Lord commanded them. All things work together for those who believe. And the Lord accepted Job. Did he say accepted his 3 friends? Pray for those that spitefully use you to abuse you. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord Job gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came all his brothers and sisters, and all that had been his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house, his church. Go to Job, man. At the house to go to. The house of the Lord. And they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job. Had some beautiful daughters. Replaced his kids with some better kids, probably. I don't know. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. When Job went through stuff, he went to church. No, he sat in dust and ashes. He meditated and called on the Lord, and he didn't really need them 3 friends, but he brought them through him just so they can take care of him. I'm gonna let y'all talk. Because I brought you here for a reason. I give him some money. Job didn't even ask for no money. Job didn't even ask for nothing to be replaced. He says, Cain, seek first the kingdom of heaven. Lord, please, have it, Lord. That's all Job did. Job sought the Lord. His friends just came. All things were together. He ain't big. He sought the Lord. Just like most men. Men of God, anyway. Most men of God. I'm going to tell y'all some stories, man. A lot of times when I first found it, I'm going to give these stories before I pull off. But years ago, I was going through some hell and high water. And I was going through things, and I was just praying. Seeking the Lord. And I was walking, I was like, man, here's a church here. Maybe they'll help me. So I knocked on the door opened the door. What you want? I'm like, nothing. You want some money? I ain't got no money. I don't want no money. I want some prayer. What? Like he was just scared. He let me in eventually. But it was like, I said, I just want you to pray for me. I don't want nothing. That day right there, I learned not to place my trust in man. It's about to bring tears to my eyes too. Because I was going through hell at that time. Hell and hot water. And I went to the church. The pastor just happened to be there. And he was just fearful. Another time I was going through hell and high water, and I was like, my house was falling, and I was going to a church. I was like, could you come and pray for my house? The pastor was like, I ain't never did that before. Oh. I remember the pastor came to I kind of knew what the issue was, because God had already revealed it to me. And they came in, he was like, what's that back there? I'm like, oh, that's such. All right, we'll just pray right here. He didn't even walk through the house. I was like, wow, could have did that myself. I guess I don't need you. It's a reason why I feel the way I feel. Why I encourage every man to develop their personal relationship with God for themselves. You know, the first church I led to after I found God, I went to a church, and there was an older elder man that was there. His name was Woodrow. His name just popped back to my head. Woodrow Wilson. And he was dressed nice, and I was like, man, he reminded me of my father, because my father had already passed. He reminded me of my dad, so I took a liking to him. And I was going through a hard time, couldn't find work, couldn't find nothing like that. And I remember that he was like, come to my house and visit me. So after church one day, I took my kids and my family, we went over there. And we were walking through his land, and he was telling me all the fruits of his labor. Yeah, I run a tree cutting business and this and that, and all that and that. And I remember, I was like, I'm hurting, I can't even find a job. He's like, he run his own business. I'm like, and that was it. He showed me his house, and all right, then we'll see you next Sunday. I'm like, wow, I thought you was finna offer me a helping hand or something. I guess not. I guess your God is your belly. You just wanted to show me how blessed you are. Wow, that was like a slap in the face. That's the first church I started going to. That same church, another story pop up. I ain't saying he was a bad person, but I think he was just, I don't know. Anyway, a man and his family came out. Remember what I'm saying? My sheep hear my voice. All right. A man came into the same church building with his family. And the preacher preached a good message, and the man actually, after the message, stood up and they're like, the Lord led me to this church and asked me to ask y'all for help. And I remember the pastor said these exact words. They got a mission jar in the front of the church full of dollar bills and money and coins that people didn't put in for the mission work. And he was like, well, we ain't got no money to give. This money up here is for the mission. I was like, what did he just say? Did he just turn this man away when you have it before you? Well, remember what I said? My sheep know my voice. So I guess that pastor didn't hear the God's voice. Then a few people in the congregation got together and were like, let's put some money. Let's give some money. And we put our money into the basket and we gave it to him. You, the church. That pastor failed miserably. But those pastors, those men of God, who heard his voice, and that man was not being misled. He was led exactly where God told him to go. But his help didn't come from that pastor. It came from the people who heard God's voice and did the natural thing that was right to do. Let me pause now. We'll continue.